Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om. Dhyayamo dhavalavagunthanavati tejomai naishthiki snigdhapangavilokini bhagavati mandasmita shrimukhi vatsalyamritavarshini sumadhuram sankirtanalapini shyamangin madhusiktasuktim amritanandatmikam Om Amriteshwaryai Namah. Om Amriteshwaryai Namah. Om Amriteshwaryai Namah. Om Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam darshitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Ajnanatimirandhasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sthawaram Jangamam Vyaptam Yatkinchit Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sarvashruti Shiro Ratna Virajita Padambuja Vedantam Bhuja Suryoya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Chaitanya Shashvata Shanto Vyomatito Niranjana Bindunada Kalatita Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jnana Shakti Samarudha Tattvamala Vibhushita Bhukti Mukti Pradata Cha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. अनेक जन्म संप्राप्त कर्म बंध विदाहिने आत्मज्ञान प्रदानेन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। शोषणं भवसिन्धोश्च ज्ञापनं सारसम्पदः गुरोः पादोदकं सम्यक् तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्त्वज्ञानात् परं नास्ति तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। मन्नाथ श्रीजगन्नाथ मद्गुरु श्रीजगद्गुरु मदात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। गुरुरादिरनादिश्च गुरुः परमदैवतं गुरोः परतरं नास्ति तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वम् अमृतेश्वरी मां त्वमेव सर्वम् अमृतेश्वरी मां त्वमेव सर्वम् अमृतेश्वरी भ्रमर में मानस भ्रमर में ഭ്രമരമേ ഭ്രമരമേ മാനസ ശുദ്ധമധു തേടി അലയുന്നു കളരുന്നു നീ അലയുന്നു കളരുന്നു നീ ശുദ്ധമധു തേടി അലയുന്നു കളരുന്നു നീ അലയുന്നു കളരുന്നു നീ ഭ്രമരമേ മാനസ ഭ്രമരമേ ഭ്രമരമേ മാനസ കരുജാലം പൂത്ത കരുജാലം ഭക്തിപ്പുഴത്തീരത്തഴലില്ലാതാനന്ദിപ്പൂ കരുജാലം കരുജാലം പൂത്ത കരുജാലം ഭക്തിപ്പുഴത്തീരത്തഴലില്ല ആനന്ദിപ്പൂ കരുജാലം പൂത്ത കരുജാലം ഭക്തിപ്പുഴത്തീരത്തഴലില്ല ആനന്ദിപ്പൂ തളരല്ലേ ചിത്തെ കരയല്ലേ തളരല്ലേ ചിത്തെ കരയല്ലേ ശുദ്ധ ഹൃദയത്തിൽ ഒരു നാട് അണയും നിൻ അമ്പി ശുദ്ധ ശുദ്ധ ഹൃദയത്തിൽ ഒരു നാട് അണയും നിൻ അമ്പി ശുദ്ധ ഭ്രമരമേ മാനസ ഭ്രമരമേ ഭ്രമരമേ മാനസ വിഭുതന്മാർ ബുദ്ധിക്കുറവേകി ശക്തി അകലത്തിലാഴലെല്ലാം അറിവാൽ നീക്കി വിഭുതന്മാർ ബുദ്ധിക്കുറവേകി ശക്തി അകലത്തിലാഴലെല്ലാം അറിവാൽ സർവവ്യഥയും ഇടവേ സർവവ്യഥയെല്ലാം അവിടേക്കായി അർപ്പിക്കുന്നു. ഭ്രമരമേ മാനസ ഭ്രമരമേ ഭ്രമരമേ മാനസ ഭ്രമരമേ ഇനിയെന്നോ നിന്റെ വരവെന്നോ എൻ്റെ കഴിവെല്ലാം തകരുമ്പോൾ വരുമെന്നോ അമ്മേ. ഇനിയെന്നോ നിന്റെ വരവെന്നോ എൻ്റെ കഴിവെല്ലാം തകരുമ്പോൾ വരുമെന്നോ അമ്മേ. അരുതമ്മേ കൃപ ചൊരിയൂലേ. അമ്മേ അരുതമ്മേ കൃപ ചൊരിയൂലേ. എല്ലാം അവലംബം അവിടല്ലാതെ വന്നാരുണ്ട്. എല്ലാം അവലംബം അവിടല്ലാതെ വനാരുണ്ട്. അവിടല്ലാതെ വനാരുണ്ട്. ഭ്രമരമേ മാനസ ഭ്രമരമേ ശുദ്ധമധു തേടി അലയുന്നു അളരുന്നു നീ. ശുദ്ധമധു തേടി അലയുന്നു തളരുന്നു നീ. ഭ്രമരമേ മാനസ ഭ്രമരമേ ഭ്രമരമേ മാനസ ഭ്രമരമേ ഭ്രമരമേ മാനസ ഭ്രമരമേ
Amrita बोलो सद्गुरु माता अमृतानंदमयी देवी की असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ ध्यायामो धवलावगुण्ठनवतीं तेजोमयीं नैष्ठिकीं स्निग्धापाङ्गविलोकिनीं भगवतीं मन्दस्मितश्रीमुखीं वात्सल्यामृतवर्षिणीं सुमधुरं सङ्कीर्तनालापिनीं श्यामाङ्गीं मधुसिक्तसूक्तिम् अमृतानन्दात्मिकामीश्वरी ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः Om Amriteshwaryai Namaha. Let us continue our discussion on Sadhana Panchakam. So far, we have covered 3 sessions. The last session we had was the second part of the first verse, the 4 advices or instructions that Adi Shankaracharya proposes to us as spiritual aspirants. Let's quickly summarize that before moving on to the second verse. So, the last week we focused on 4 teachings. The first one was to shake off completely or as strongly as we could of all the multitude of papas or demerits that we may have accumulated, completely uprooting them. Papaughav paridhuyatam. That was the first teaching. You have the slides. The second one was to recognize the flaws of the worldly pleasures. And we discussed, rather than the flaws in the worldly pleasures, it's the flaw in how we deal with them or how we look at them. So that's the second one. Bhava sukhe doshonusandhiyatam. The third one was about garnering or seeking the desire for our own self, our true self, a self with capital S. Considering the I, which is bigger than all the things that we use so as to make myself look bigger. So the priority should be given to my true self. Atmecha vyavasiyatam. That was the third one. The fourth one that we discussed was to depart quickly from the so-called home, from the so-called attachments and ego that we have, or the ego framework that we specifically discussed the last week, right? Nijagrihat turnam vinirgamyatam. That was the fourth advice or instruction that we discussed. So altogether, we have gone through 8 of the instructions from the first verse. So we will move on to the second verse, which goes as Sangha satsu vidhiyatam bhagavato bhaktir dridhadhiyatam shantyadih parichiyatam dridhataram karmashu santyajyatam sadvidwan upasripyatam pratidinam tatpaduka sevyatam brahmaikaksharam arthyatam Shrutishiro Vakyam Samakarnyatam. These are the next 8 teachings or instructions or advices Adi Shankara has for us. So we discussed the first verse was about conditioning the mind or preparing the mind. The second verse here is about conditioning our surrounding, our environment that we expose ourselves to, so that it becomes conducive for our spiritual growth. Today I'll try my best to cover 6 of the teachings. The last 2 teachings are kind of tied to the third verse. So we will do it along with the third verse. So we will try our best to cover 6, because we may have a break the next week as I'll be traveling to India. So we'll try to cover 6 of them today. That way we will cover enough for us to reflect upon, so that the week after, the next, we will take up the last 2 teachings of the second verse and the third verse thereafter. So as usual, let's first go into the pronunciation word by word. Please respond after me as we have done it in the past. Sangha, Sangha, Sangha. Satsu, Satsu, Satsu. Vidhiyatam, Vidhiyatam, Vidhiyatam. Bhagavato,
Bhagavato, Bhagavato,
Bhakti,
Bhakti, Bhakti.
Because it conjoins with the next word, the Bhakti sound becomes R, Bhaktir. So Bhaktir dridhadhiyatam. Bhaktir dridhadhiyatam. Bhaktir dridhadhiyatam. Shantyadi,
Shantyadi, Shantyadi.
Parichiyatam,
Parichiyatam, परिचीयताम्
दृढतरं
दृढतरं दृढतरं
कर्माशु
कर्माशु कर्माशु
संत्यज्यताम्
संत्यज्यताम् संत्यज्यताम्
सद्विद्वान्
सद्विद्वान् सद्विद्वान्
उपसृप्यताम्
उपसृप्यताम् उपसृप्यताम्
प्रतिदिनं
प्रतिदिनं प्रतिदिनं
तत् पादुका
तत्पादुका तत्पादुका
सेव्यताम्
सेव्यताम् सेव्यताम्
ब्रह्मैकाक्षरम्
ब्रह्मैकाक्षरम् ब्रह्मैकाक्षरम्
अर्थ्यताम्
अर्थ्यताम् अर्थ्यताम्
श्रुतिशिरो वाक्यम्
श्रुतिशिरो वाक्यं श्रुतिशिरो वाक्यं
समाकर्ण्यताम्
समाकर्ण्यताम् समाकर्ण्यताम्.
So let's try to chant it all together once, not in a tune. The tune we'll do it in the end. We will just speak or chant just plain in as we did now together. So if you could all do it together. Sangha satsu vidhiyatam bhagavato bhaktir dridhadhiyatam shantyadih परिचीयताम् दृढतरं कर्माशु संत्यज्यताम् सद्विद्वान् उपसृप्यताम् प्रतिदिनं तत्पादुका सेव्यताम् ब्रह्मैकाक्षरम् अर्थ्यताम् श्रुतिशिरो वाक्यम् Samakarnyatam. My bad, sorry. Samakarnyatam. So let's look into the meaning word by word first. It says Sangha Satsu Vidhiyatam. That is the first teaching. It says seek good company. Sat Sangha, we all know that, right? Here it is split into Sangha Sat. And Su basically means with. So Sangha Satsu or Sat Sangha Su. Sangha Satsu. So Sat Sangha, good company. Company that is meaningful, that is of like-minded, that which elevates us. Sats Vidhiyatam. Subjugate yourself to or expose yourself to. Let us seek good company. That is the first teaching of this verse. Then it says Bhagavatah Bhakti dridha bhakti dridha adhiyatam. It says Bhagavata, towards the divine, towards God. Bhakti, devotion. Dridha, strong. Adhiyatam, make it make it again subjugated to, or make it exposed to, or cultivate it. Have it. So the second teaching is make our devotion towards divine stronger. Make the bhakti stronger. The third one, it says Shantyadhi Parichiyatam. Shanti, tranquility, peace. Adi, etc. So Shanti and the other similar qualities, what should we do? Parichiyatam, become familiar with, become well versed in them, or become all the more, let it become all the more common, let it become the very nature of ours. Let us accumulate them. Shantyadi Parichiyatam. So let us cultivate virtues like tranquility. We'll discuss about the other virtues too. So it says tranquility, etc. Those kind of virtues. Then the fourth one, dridhataram karmashu santyajyatam. Dridha, again strong. Dridhataram, in a strong way, thoroughly, firmly. What should we do? Karma translates to actions. Ashu, quickly, without delay or without ado. What should we do? Santyajyatam. Tyajyatam, relinquish, let go. So when you say let go of the actions, more or less, it means like what we discussed the last time. The desires, the motives, etc. that we usually attach to our actions that we perform. Santyajyatam. Not just tyajyatam, santyajyatam. Sat as a prefix basically adds a positive connotation. Do it willingly, do it meaningfully. Not developing an aversion or developing an attitude of pessimism. Rather, do it with a positive attitude. Let go of the unnecessary desires, unnecessary expectations, unnecessary notions that we have as we perform actions. That's the fourth one. The fifth one, sad vidwan upasripyatam. Sat vidwan. We will discuss the term sad vidwan. Sad vidwan basically translates to the realized beings. Upasripyatam. Upa, to get close to. Sripyatam, upa is to be in the proximity of, and sripya, srip, basically the root word translates to getting, gliding towards or getting close to. So seek the company or become proximal to a realized being. Seek the company or seek the advice, seek the shelter or take refuge in a realized being, which is the fifth teaching. And it says, Tat Paduka Sevyatam. And let us worship the holy feet. Let us worship that holy feet. Tat Paduka Sevyatam. That is the sixth teaching. So we will focus on these six today, just so that we are looking into the whole verse. The seventh one is Brahmaikaksharam Arthyatam. Brahma, the supreme, the infinite. Eka Aksharam, the one syllable. What is the one syllable? The sacred syllable Om. Arthyatam. Let us seek, let us try to reflect upon the meaning or the significance of the sacred syllable Om, which is but the representation of the infinite, the supreme. And the final one, eighth one of the second verse, Shruti Shira Vakyam Samakarnyatam. Shruti Shira, Shruti, the Vedas. Shruti Shira, the head of the Vedas, or the prime of the Vedas, or the crown of the Vedas. What are the crown of the Vedas? The Vedanta. We discussed the very first week. The end of the Vedanta, the Upanishad, the Upanishads, the philosophical part of Vedas. Shruti Shira Vakyam. Vakyam, the words or the teachings of the prime part of the Vedas, the head of the Vedas, or rather the Upanishads. Samakarnyatam. Let us make it listened to with full attention or with the right attitude. So these are the 8 teachings or the 8 instructions of the second verse, and we are trying to cover 6 of them today. So what's the very first one? Sangha Satsu Vidhiyatam. Subjugate or expose ourselves to good company. There is a very common Malayalam proverb. If you're a Malayalam speaking person, you're very familiar with it. It says, Changadi nannayal kannadi vendam. What does it mean? If you have a good friend, you don't need a mirror. You have a good friend, you don't need a mirror. What does it mean? It could be, I feel, could be interpreted in 2 ways. You don't need a mirror to know yourself if you have good friends. Why? A good friend would be someone who would encourage you with all your strengths and will discourage you with all your shortcomings. Or basically, a good friend will give you your reflection, tell you what you can and what you shouldn't. Is a true friend. So if you have a true friend, you don't need a mirror. The second interpretation, or the second way I understand this proverb, is just looking at your friends, we can make out how you would be. The friends are a good representation of how your character would be. You don't need a mirror to look at. Just look at your friends, how they are, what their character is, how their conduct is. That would give you a very good idea what kind of person I am. So the company that we hold is definitely critical, is very important. And why is it important? Why is company important? Why is it critical? We just discussed the last week. We have a lot of habits and tendencies that we have developed right from when we were little babies, and all these habits and tendencies have become stronger and indispensable for us. So it's very difficult to get rid of these habits. We just discussed that the last week, right? We were discussing how we should channelize these habits rather than trying to fight against them, channelize them for a higher purpose. And what would help us do that? Good company. If we have people who think in a similar way to make actions meaningful, automatically our habits and tendencies could very well be directed towards a higher purpose, could be made much more meaningful, right? Right here, all of us are seated here. There are definitely few of us. We can probably reflect upon it. Would every now and then wonder, why am I sitting here? This is such a boring session going on and on. Or, typically we had the spiritual retreat, one-day retreat. A few days ago, we had a few weeks ago in other cities too. Probably you were part of that if you're attending remotely. And as part of the spiritual retreat, we have the scriptural discussion in the morning. And everyone more or less has to sit for it, whether you like it or not, right? But you do sit for it. You hesitate getting up and telling, probably few of you actually did it, but most of you sit here somehow, somehow facing it and getting through it, right? Why? Because the people you are familiar with, they are all seated there. So somehow or the other, our mind is also conditioned such a way that let me sit through too, whether I like it or not. In case, even if we didn't like it, we just sit through it, right? A simple example, how the company or who we are associated with, they are doing it, we do it too. There is, I'm forgetting the name of this concept. It's I think that's bypassenger effect or pedestrian effect or some such. I recently saw a video about it. In case bystander effect. If you're walking on the street and an accident happens, our tendency would be just to watch it. Unless and until someone goes to help them, many people will go in to help. But until the first person does it, everyone would hesitate to do it. Again, a simple example of how people around us influence the way we think. And we may have all the abilities to help someone who is in distress, just that we need that nudge. That's why good company is important for us. I'm reminded of a story that I have heard from very young age. I'm very sure we have heard different versions of this very story. When I was trying to find the specific Malayalam narration of it, because at one point of time, this character who we are going to discuss about calls out to the divine. So I specifically remember that in a particular way. In case anyone of you is familiar with it, please correct me. So the story goes wherein there's this thief. And the thief is, the main job or the main intention of a thief would be to go to some house or go to some place, rob that place of valuables that they may have in the house. So he once happened to go to the house of a priest or a preacher who would do Bhagavata Parayanam or would discuss the Puranas. So when he happened to go to this priest's house, he was actually narrating to a group of people the Vishnu Purana, where he was specifically narrating the incarnation of Narasimha, the half lion and the half human form of Lord Vishnu, his incarnation as Narasimha. And he was explaining the beauty of Narasimha, how enchanting Narasimha is. Though ferocious, the beautiful ornaments that Narasimha had, the weapons and the things that Narasimha was holding in his hands. And the thief was like, oh my God, I never knew of such a being. Robbing human beings definitely is difficult because they would call 911, the police would be after me. An animal with all these ornaments definitely is not going to call 911. If at all I could successfully get all the ornaments, it will be for me and myself. Why not? Why am I wasting time here in this house? Let me go to the forest, look for this lion and get all the ornaments of it. And these, the way he's explaining it, they seem to be really, really very valuable. Let me go for the lion. Why am I wasting my time here? And he heard the priest say, I've been yearning for the darshan or the vision of Narasimha. I've prayed for it all my life. I've never been blessed enough to get the vision of Narasimha, and tears were rolling down. He was like, this guy seems to be really, this lion seems to be really someone I should go for because he's crying for it. So that's all what the robber could understand. He focused on the ornaments, how he could get the ornaments, become rich, etc. And he goes out and he goes on this arduous journey looking for the lion. He goes to one forest, to the other, the smaller forest first, then the adjacent bigger forest, and he keeps looking for the lion. He never finds it, but he really knows that is the fortune, the lottery ticket that he would get, the jackpot he would hit in case he finds the lion. He's like, I'm not going to let go of this pursuit. I'm going to go for the lion, get the ornaments. He keeps going from one forest to the other. He never finds the lion, and he now starts becoming very, very interested in finding the lion. He slowly forgets about the ornament and all that. He's like sincerely looking for the lion. And it gets to a point for years that he looks for the lion, that he just yearns to seek the lion. And correct me if you speak Malayalam, there is this, the story goes wherein he goes around screaming, Tamburan de Simhame ni evide, or Ashan de Simhame ni evide, Tamburan de Simhame ni evide, O lion, that the priest was seeking for, where are you? O lion, that this priest was seeking for, where are you? He keeps screaming and he forgets about everything. He just forgets about his own basic necessities completely, is lost in that thought of the lion, seeking the lion, looking for it. And Lord Vishnu just couldn't hold back. Looking at his devotion, the yearning that he has, Lord Vishnu says, no, I need to incarnate or give him my vision as Narasimha. And it seems he appears in front of him as Narasimha. And just looking at the lion, he's so ecstatic, so happy. He's like, that priest has been looking for you. Why have you been deceiving him all this while? Come, let's go to the priest. And the lion, or the Narasimha avatara, the incarnation Narasimha, says, no, he doesn't deserve my vision yet. But you had this sincere yearning that I came to you. He says, nothing doing. He takes a rope and puts a leash around the lion, pulls him, telling, come with me. I'll take you to that priest because the priest is the one who introduced you to me. I will take you. He puts Narasimha in a leash and then drags him to the house. And he calls out to the priest, Tamburane, come forth. I have brought your lion here that you were crying for. And the priest is completely dumbstruck, looking at his beloved Narasimha in front of him, Lord Vishnu in form of Narasimha. And he's like, but why do you have him on leash? He says, he was not ready to come to you. So I tied him up, brought him to you. Here, have him. It's a very innocent story. It reflects the innocence that the thief has. Again, it reminds us of the very point that we were discussing. The thief had the very same tendency to go and rob. Now he found a better target, that's all. His intention was still to rob. But when he came into contact with the priest, though it was for a few minutes, even that changed his destiny. He went looking for the divine himself in the form of the lion. Though to rob first, his attitude eventually changed and the divine incarnated in front of him, not in front of the priest. So good company can change our destiny. Just for a few minutes that he met the priest, he got the vision of the divine. And just that, the few minutes that he met the priest also got the vision of the divine. Otherwise, he would have not gotten it. It was because of this thief who got influenced by him that he got the vision of Narasimha. The beauty of the story is the company worked both the ways. It helps each other. So company is very important. I was looking for, sometimes when I come across some scientific studies, I make note of them in case they would be useful for me during any of these topics. So I came across this research work that was performed in 1949. It's called the Framingham Heart Study. It is considered one of the longest longitudinal studies ever performed. It started in 1949 and goes on for years now, for decades now. So 1948 is when the Framingham Heart Study, it was performed at the National Heart, Lung, Blood Institute. It's part of the National Institute of Health. It is in Framingham, Massachusetts. You should be familiar with it. Framingham, Massachusetts. And the focus of the study was to find the cause of heart diseases amongst people. So they got data from so many different patients who came to the institute, and they were trying to find patterns so that we can try to understand what are the major causes of heart diseases. It seems in 2007, a few other researchers from Harvard Medical School and University of California, San Diego, they used this data to perform a different set of studies so as to find patterns in this. And they actually discovered this concept called social contagion. Social contagion, am I pronouncing it right? Contagion, the cause of something that is contagious, right? The cause of something that spreads, social contagion. So they performed study on the same data from 1949, and they found out some beautiful or very interesting findings. They refer to that as social contagion. I'm just reading out a couple of them. First one was how happiness is contagious. They say when your friend becomes happy, you experience happiness too. And their study talked about 3 degrees of happiness. 1, if your immediate friend becomes happy, there's a chance of 15% that you will become happy or happier. It says the 2nd degree, if your friend's friend becomes happy, you have a chance of 10% of becoming happier. And it says there's a 3rd degree to this. If your friend's friend becomes happy, there's a 7% chance of you becoming happier. So your friends or your friend's friend or your friend's friends also have an effect on you. I thought it was an interesting finding. They also found out a similar pattern with obesity. If your friend becomes obese, your chances of becoming obese is 57%. Interesting. It's a cautionary statement there. Your friend becomes obese, chances of you becoming obese is 57%. They had similar findings regarding smoking, cessation of smoking, to stop smoking. It is much more effective when we do it as a group of friends do it rather than an individual person trying to let go of smoking. Similarly, they say loneliness, even depression, loneliness, I very specifically remember, they say loneliness is also contagious. You have a group of friends, one person starts feeling lonely and acts accordingly, it kind of becomes contagious. Everyone becomes lonely too. Not exactly loneliness in my case, but by nature, I am someone who would prefer locking myself up in the room and not interacting much. That's my preference. But I definitely, hopefully, do it otherwise during satsangs. But I know I travel to all these cities. There are so many people who are gracious enough to travel with me, to help me with all the programs. And when we drive, I try my best to interact with them, keep the whole feeling lively. While we are driving, sometimes the drive is 10 hours, 11 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. And it happens, especially during long hours. Towards the end, I just get back to my typical self. Like, I think we have talked enough. I think I should be silent. And I have invariably seen whenever I go silent, the car just goes silent. One could be they are too scared of me, or otherwise, it is this very effect. When one person goes silent, or not exactly lonely, but when I probably go into solitude, it kind of becomes contagious within the car. I can relate to that very point that these researchers were making. So even scientific studies talk about how company definitely has an effect on us. And talking about company, we have discussed this in the past in the other scriptural discussion, but I feel it is important or kind of apt for us to discuss it again in this context. I remember when I was little, I had a chance when Amma was once cleaning up the place for Amma's birthday celebrations to happen. So she was trying to pick up all the sharp stones or nails from the construction of the big tent that they put together back then for Amma's birthday celebrations. So because people would be barefooted, Amma was trying to pick all these sharp objects up from the ground. And Amma that day, for whatever reason, said only the children should be with Amma. Others keep a safe distance from Amma. So we got a chance to sit around Amma and pick these sharp items up. And Amma was entertaining us to ask questions and discussing with us based on Amma's spiritual wisdom that she has. So I got a chance to ask Amma a question. I asked Amma, Amma says, avoid bad company. I understand that. But Amma also says, look for only goodness in others. In which case, how do I recognize bad company? Both of these kind of contradict each other. If I see only goodness in others, then I'll have only good company. So how are these two not contradicting? Amma says, definitely you should seek good company and not bad company. That doesn't mean you should reject someone or hate someone. What you need to reject is their actions that are bad in nature, not the person. You should still love and respect the person. What you should reject is when that person is performing an action which is not dharmic, which is not right, then avoid the company, not the person. So when Amma says avoid bad company, avoid the situations where your so-called friends aren't participating in something that is meaningful. Otherwise, they are good friend of yours. Probably they'll have a lot of qualities which could be inspiring for you. And I thought that was a very profound message that Amma gave. I remember I relate this to my college times. I was in Amma's college. Back then it wasn't a university yet. It was affiliated to a bigger university close by. So as part of the college or the undergrad studies, or it was an integrated master's degree, one of the semesters we had to go and get practical training from the industry. So because it was a computer science related degree, we had to go to nearby software firms and get trained for 3 or 4 months. So I happened to go to Chennai, which was the bigger city nearby, where one of the software companies let me do an internship with them for 4 months. And I happened to stay with some of my classmates who weren't known for their best conduct. The backbenchers, that's how you frame them. The backbenchers, and I was amongst one of the front benches, not the very first row, but slightly towards the front. So there is no natural match here. But then I remembered Amma's teachings. Amma says, don't hate them for who they are. Hate or not hate, reject the actions that they may perform which you may not agree to. But otherwise, don't dislike them. So I thought it's just 4 months, why not? Just stay with them. But they had the habit of drinking, especially during weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they had other habits which I did not subscribe to. So it is natural, you'll have peer pressure, they'll try to tease you and try to somehow entice you to get into it. But I was firm on what my do's and don'ts are. But I wasn't, untowardly towards them. I just patiently explained to them, no, this is not what I would do, but I will not hate you. I will not stop you. I will not try to be your dad and advise you. If you are open to it, I'll definitely advise you, but you do your job, I'll do my job. But I will not participate in what you think is fun. Initially, though they made fun of me or tried to convince me or force me, eventually they started giving up. They accepted me the way I am. And I remember several times it would happen, they would drink and they would throw up and they would act crazily in a weird mood that they would be in, completely lost, inebriated. I would try to help them clean up and put them to sleep, change their clothes, etc. And that kind of made our bond much stronger because they started respecting me for respecting them, though they had these things that I didn't agree with. And eventually the bond became strong. And because the bond became strong, though they were the way they were, I was the way I was, we still had common things to be friends for. And this led to us doing a small project, a real world or a social project towards the end of our course, wherein the last semester, every weekend, we would go to nearby government schools, high schools, where poor children would be studying, and we would go and give them career guidance. To tell them what are the options they have to go to colleges to and what kind of jobs they can look for. And it became a regular thing for the whole semester. We would every weekend go and help these children who were not as fortunate as us. I felt because I could build that friendship with them, I could accept them the way they are, rejecting the negative things that they did that I didn't agree with. The friendship became much more fruitful. It became so helpful to others, right? So they also started coming for Amma's programs and doing seva in Amritapuri, or when Amma used to visit Coimbatore. The friendship became much more meaningful. The outcome became much more meaningful. So the first teaching is that of good company. Try to maintain that, seek that, and through good company make our spiritual growth conducive. Because when we have good company, that will take us forward spiritually. It will make it conducive. We will jump to the fifth teaching because we are talking about good company. The fifth teaching is Sadvidwan Upasrapyatam. The fifth one is seek the company of a Mahatma. When we are talking about good company, let's cover this too. Seek the company of a realized being. Vidwan, with the root word with in Sanskrit refers to know, to become aware of, to learn. Vidwan, one who has grasped the wisdom, grasped the knowledge, one who is well versed in it. And what knowledge is the person well versed in? That of Sat, the supreme unchanging truth. Sadvidwan, one who has grasped the ultimate reality, the knowledge about the ultimate truth. That is one who is self-realized. A Mahatma. Upasripyatam. Upa, to be close. Like Upanishad. Basically, that's what it means. To be in close proximity. Upasripyatam. The srip word basically means to move, to glide. Sripyatam, it is in passive term where it says move towards the proximity of a Mahatma who is already familiar with one's own true self, one who has realized the true self. And we don't need to talk much about it. We all have this experience. Being in Amma's presence is magical. Our attitude, our notions, our way of looking at things and doing things automatically changes when we are in Amma's physical presence, right? Amma's program does so many miracles. One of the biggest miracle, two people who hate each other, can't even face each other in a satsang, they work shoulder to shoulder during Amma's program as if they are best friends, right? In Amma's presence, a guru's presence, a Mahatma's presence is such that even people who hate each other have no hesitation working together for the bigger cause that the Mahatma represents, right? Or the people who don't even go near the kitchen sink are washing pots that are bigger than them. Sometimes they are sitting inside the pot and washing them, that they use for cooking for all these many people who come, right? Or, the most talkative person that you would know is sitting on the stage meditating. Oh, that's a big miracle. Or sometimes not meditating, just sitting in silence. That itself is a big thing. Amma's presence does wonders. It brings these unexplicable or unexpected changes in us. In Mahatma's presence, what is the biggest thing to learn is, especially because we are talking about spiritual growth, in our spiritual pursuit, what is the biggest thing that we need to learn from a Mahatma, or every deed of Mahatma, every word that they speak, every moment that they live, they exemplify living with Shraddha. Shraddha. Shraddha, in simple terms, could be translated to awareness, to live with awareness. But Shraddha is a much more complicated term. Shraddha, when you say, I act with Shraddha, just before that, I just made note of an example of how Amma's darshan is a beautiful example to get inspired with, to practice Shraddha, right? Amma, when she is with someone, embracing them, she's literally 100% with them. They feel Amma is feeling their emotion. She's sharing their emotion. When they are crying, she's crying with them. When they are laughing, she's laughing with them. At the very same point, someone is asking $1 million question from the right side. It may be a do or die situation for them, and they need to be given the right answer that guides them the right way in their life. She does that at the same time. The very same time, the left side, if someone misses giving Amma the prasad, placing it in her hand, or some people need the holy ashes, that is missing. Amma, they may miss it. That is the only thing they are doing. They may still miss it, but Amma immediately catches on that, and there's like, hey, this is missing. She's completely aware of that, and at the same time, she's completely aware of her surrounding too. I remember often it has happened wherein I'll be standing next to Amma doing translation, and Amma is very aware, quite aware of what I'm doing. I remember once, one of the tours, twice it happened that I was in the room or I was elsewhere, and they said, Amma is calling you. Amma is calling Ramanand. And then I just go running to Amma just to find out Amma was calling the little boy called Ramanand, who was part of the... I was like, it's not worth going to Amma, just running every time. She has no business with me, technically. So it is just always a false alarm. Once again, I got this call telling, Amma is calling you, come immediately. I was like, okay, let me not disrespect the call. Let me just go there, take my own time, assess if she's really calling me, and then go up to you rather than making a fool of myself. So I slowly walked to the hall. I stood by the door and assessed, is Amma, does it look like Amma is looking for me? It didn't feel like Amma was looking for me. Then I just went around the hall and slowly went up to Amma after doing a few things. And Amma looks at me and is like, where were you? I was like I was around. It's like, not around. I called you and it took you 5 or 6 minutes. She gave me some number till you came to that door and stood there looking at me. You're gaping at me and you never came up. Then I saw you went to the bookstore area and you were talking to someone for 10 minutes. Then I saw you walk this way, and then I heard the harmonium play behind the stage. I actually tested the harmonium to make sure it was okay for the evening. She listened to that, and then she says, then you got time to come here asking me what happened. I actually went to this stage because I was replacing Swamiji, Big Swami translating for Amma. That is the reason I went there. And she's like, it took all this while she was completely aware of all the things I was doing in the hall before I went up to Amma. That is the level of Shraddha, because she's focused on the person in front of her, on the right side, the left side, and she's aware of this dumb guy who's going around in the hall doing a zillion different things, and she's listing all those things out to me. That is Shraddha. And when we talk about Shraddha, I said Shraddha in plain terms could be translated as awareness. But Shraddha is a complicated term. Shraddha, when you say when I perform something with Shraddha, you can show the slides, you say I perform something with Shraddha, it means I am performing it with concentration. I am performing it with completely focusing my mind and my senses upon what am I doing, least distracted. When I say I'm doing something with Shraddha, I'm doing it with faith and trust with all of the people involved in that situation. When I say I'm doing it with Shraddha, I am doing it with faith and trust in my own self, my own abilities. When I say I am doing it with Shraddha, I do it with respect for the things that I'm using, for the people involved, and respecting my own self. And I do it with right attitude, with a positive attitude. I remain patient when I do the action. I do it with the attitude of acceptance. When I do it, I can do whatever I want, but the outcome could be not as I expect. Have that acceptance. I do it with complete awareness and being conscious of the surrounding, being conscious of the situation, being conscious of what needs to be done and the consequences of those actions. When I do an action with all these things is when I say I'm doing something with Shraddha. So when we are talking about the company of a Mahatma, we are talking about developing this Shraddha, being inspired by them, because Mahatma verily lives Shraddha. There's a verse in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, begins with a very well-known term or phrase, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparah samyatendriyah. One who has Shraddha, one who has that intent towards the goal or the ultimate, and one who has control over the senses. He or she is the one who becomes receptive of true knowledge. And gaining that true knowledge, the individual could find peace. So as to find the peace of mind that we always yearn for, the very first step is Shraddha. So the company of the Guru is verily the source of that Shraddha. That is what a Guru's company inspires us with. Okay, so that is the 5th teaching. Are you all with me? Makes sense? Okay. Then let us go to the third, the second, right? The second and the 6th teaching, because they're kind of connected to this. What is the second teaching? It says, Bhagavato bhaktir dridhadhiyatam. With good company, make your bhakti towards the divine stronger. And the 6th teaching says, seeking the company of the Guru, perform Pada Paduka Puja, worship the feet of the Sadguru, or worship the representative or the symbol. The Paduka basically means the holy sandals that the Guru wears. Worship the Guru's feet. So here, both these messages or both these advices convey that we should be dedicated, we should be devoted, we should worship the Guru. On the first case, it is the deity. The second teaching is about deity. The 6th teaching is about the Guru, right? Serving and to develop or to empower devotion. And when you say serve the Guru, be devoted to the divine, it is not in literal sense. Definitely, it is the literal sense is also part of it. But it is much beyond. It is symbolic when you say worship the feet, be devoted to the divine. Think of worshipping Amma's feet. Amma is walking from her room to the stage for the program. Amma gets out of her room, perform Pada Puja. Then she goes near the elevator, perform Pada Puja. As she's standing in the elevator, perform Pada Puja. As she gets out of the elevator, outside the elevator, perform Pada Puja. As she takes the turn towards the hall, perform Pada Puja. As she enters the hall, perform Pada Puja. She comes onto the stage, perform Pada Puja. As she sits on the stage, perform Pada Puja. As Amma is going to start giving a talk, perform Pada Puja. Every bhajan ends, perform Pada Puja. Will be weird, right? It doesn't literally mean perform Pada Puja all the time. Definitely perform Pada Puja. There is no doubt in that. That is just one part of it. But it is much beyond. At the same time, when you say be devoted to the divine, for every time, oh, God is great, God is great, God is great, God is great, definitely remind yourself of that fact. Definitely yes. But just mechanically saying God is great is just one part of it. We need to go much beyond. We need to realize or identify or experience that God is great. So when we perform Pada Puja or when we worship the divine, what does it mean to worship the divine? Amma usually says, talking about the Pada Puja in 2025 Guru Purnima, as the Guru Purnima Paduka Puja was about to begin, Amma said Amma is least interested in someone performing Amma's Pada Puja. Amma says Amma would rather ask right from when Amma's first birthday, the first time Amma's birthday was celebrated with the Paduka Puja or Pada Puja, Amma said Amma would rather prefer you going to a nearby place and clean that place rather than Amma's feet. Go to clean the dirty drainage nearby, or go and clean the gutter, or go and clean a park, go and clean a slum. That Amma would consider as better worship than just washing Amma's feet. And even in literal sense, think of the honey and ghee and all that sticking to your feet. It's really not a very good feeling. So when you talk about Pada Puja, it is symbolic in nature. Guru's feet represents all the great qualities that they walk their life with, that they inspire us with. When you say the feet, it is not literally the feet alone. It is all the great qualities that their life has inspired us with, that they have walked their life with. There's a slide that you can show. That they have inspired their life with. And when you say worship the divine, worship a deity, every deity, there's this term called Vigraha Tattva or Swarupa Mahatmyam. Vigraha Tattva, Tattva basically means the logic behind a form. Or Swarupa Mahatmyam, again a form, the significance of a form. We have discussed during Ganesh Chaturthi, right? The significance of Lord Ganesha's form. The little eye signifies be focused. The big ears signifies be ready to learn, perceive as much as you can. The big tummy of Ganesha represents the big pool of knowledge that we should keep accumulating, learn and consume more and more and more, and increase your knowledge, wisdom. Or the trunk of Lord Ganesha represents, it can uproot a big tree, it can pick one single grain of rice. That's how versatile it is. So every form has a significance. There are a lot many. Let's not go over each one of them, but every form has a significance. So the next slide, when we talk about worshipping the Guru or the deity, what are we talking about? We should be living up to these qualities. That's the best way to worship, to imbibe these qualities into our character. That is the best way to worship the Guru, the Guru's feet, or a deity. And we have discussed the Pada Puja, how each of the liquids that we use has a significance, has a spiritual message for each one of us. For many of you, it would be just redundant points that I mentioned, because recently we had Shivaratri, we had Ayyappa Puja, we do Guru Purnima, otherwise our Amma's birthday. Every time we perform Abhisheka, I repeat this. You would have heard it a zillion times, but the last 2 times I performed the puja, I gave a pop quiz. I asked people, can you tell me the significance of water? I got some answer. Milk, I got probably 1 or 2 people answer. Then on, everything was just going above their head. But when you perform the Abhisheka or the holy bathing with each one of them, there's a significance for that. Water and milk represents humility or simplicity. I repeat it every time. In case you're joining remotely and you're not familiar with it or have not heard me mention this, water is an essential part of creation. So essential that without water, life would cease to exist. In spite of that, water exists in simplest of forms. Liquid, no taste, odor, or color to boast about. Milk is similar. An edible item, an essential part of nutrition that we have been consuming right from when we are young, extremely essential, still exists in simplest of forms. Food could be liquid, thin liquid, simple white color, no taste or odor to boast about, right? It represents humility or simplicity. So when we offer water, when we offer milk, we are actually offering these qualities. We need to cultivate them and offer them at the lotus feet. Yogurt being a byproduct of milk, where milk loses its purity, in spite of that still remains nutritious, still remains essential. Reminds us that however impure something or someone may seem, look for the goodness in them. There will definitely be some form of goodness in them. Best example Amma gives, simple example, a broken clock, though broken, shows the right time at least twice every day. We have to look at it at the right time, right? The third one, clarified butter or ghee, byproduct of milk, raw form of butter going through a long process of boiling. And as it boils, one by one impurity after the other separates and it is removed. What remains is clarified form of butter. Our experiences in life, our spiritual journey would be such that we will have situations and experiences that we can utilize to learn and grow. Utilize them to let go of one negativity after the other, reaching the state of purity, reaching the state of clarity, right? And then what is next? Honey. An edible item that remains fresh literally forever. If you ask Google, it would say honey remains fresh for more than 2,000 years. So no one has lived that long to disprove that. But it represents that quality of freshness, enthusiasm that we always should have. The enthusiasm we have in the beginning of any venture that we, or anything that we venture into, any endeavor that we venture into. The enthusiasm that we have in the beginning, we should have it always. Similarly, we would have had a lot of enthusiasm initially in our spiritual path. We need to invigorate that again, keep that high level of enthusiasm and energy, freshness. And finally, the rose water, simplicity and humility of water, at the same time, spreading the fragrance of love and compassion to everyone and everything. So when we worship the Guru's feet or worship our beloved deity, what we are doing is developing these great qualities. And Abhisheka, basically all these liquids, teach us this very fact. And interestingly, when you say worship the Guru, worship the deity, serve the Guru's feet, etc., it's not about making ourselves slave. It's not about enslaving ourselves. It's rather empowering ourselves. There is this beautiful verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that explains Lord Krishna's life. It talks about Lord Krishna saying, he says, Aham bhakta paradhinaha. Aham bhakta paradhinaha. He aswatantra iva dvija. He says, Aham, me, I'm bhakta paradhina. I am so subjugated to my devotee. I am so devoted to my devotee, or I am so under the control of my devotee. And he says, aswatantra, I am I'm not independent, I'm very dependent. I'm very much under the control of the devotee. So it's not that the divine is the Lord. In the equation of devotion, the true devotee becomes the Lord of the divine. And Lord Krishna himself says, I become subjugated to them. I become their slave. That is the beauty of devotion. So when you say, worship the divine, worship the feet of the Guru, it's not about enslaving ourselves. Rather, it is about empowering ourselves. Because God becomes, or all the factors around become slave to our abilities, our the actions that we perform, our intentions. So that is the third and the sixth teaching, right? I just have one more segment, not too long. Can I seek your permission to just take another 10 to 12 minutes to cover that? That way we would cover the next week's thing too. Is that okay with all of you? I should ask, is it not okay with any one of you? This is like the very first point, because so many people said yes, you are forced to not say yes, right? Or not say no. Let's quickly cover this. I'll quickly get done. So when you say bhakti and seva to the Guru, it shouldn't be mechanical. Rather, it is about replicating their qualities, imbibing them in us. And how do we do that? That takes us to the third advice, which says Shantyadi Vyavasiyatam. Shanti, etc. Vyavasiyatam. Cultivate what? Tranquility, Shanti, and the others. So what are the other virtues we are talking about? The 5 virtues are Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, and Ahimsa. Satya, truth. Live for the truth and seek truth. Speak and act the truth and seek the ultimate truth. Anything that is otherwise, you don't have to disregard them, but always keep it in your mind to seek the truth. So that is the first quality, the first virtue. Second one, dharma, righteousness. Earn based on actions that are dharmic in nature. Our words, our thoughts, our actions should be righteous, and what we earn should be used to uphold righteousness. 2 things with dharma. Make sense? Earn or accumulate through dharmic actions, dharmic intentions, and whatever we accumulate, use it for upholding dharma. The third one, shanti, tranquility. Make our mind, make our senses tranquil. Have good control over the mind and the senses. Shama and dhamma. And shanti also means peace. Our actions, our conduct, our thoughts, our words should be such that we propagate peace to others around us. That's the third one. Sorry, or maybe you are happy that I'm rushing through these points. That's not my way. Even with the liquids, I was going through it as quickly as I could. Let's try to finish ASAP. The fourth one, prema, love. Cultivating love and compassion for everyone and everything. And that should reflect in our thoughts, our words, and our action. Love otherwise is synonymous to being selfless. Our thoughts, actions, and words should be as selfless as possible. Not that we shouldn't do anything for ourselves, definitely, but regard others too. Be at least a little beneficial to others. Being selfless, prema. And then finally, ahimsa, non-violence. Our conduct should be such that they don't hurt others. Not just hurting others, it should empower them. It should be of benefit to them. So these are the 5 virtues we should develop. Shantyadi, shanti, etc. Tranquility, etc. That is the best way to worship the Guru. When would Amma be super happy with us? Not when we do Paduka Puja or Pada Puja for Amma. Amma is not going to be angry for that. But she would definitely be very happy when she hears from someone that you have followed at least one of these teachings. I remember I was just discussing the very first session about how when Amma first came to the US, after I came to the US, she asked me, how are you doing? I tried to impress upon Amma. I gave this set of talks in University of Maryland. I went to Buffalo, gave a satsang. I did this retreat in Boston, etc. And Amma was like, Amma's interested in you. How are you doing, right? Amma was not very interested in me, trying to boast about myself. But eventually I told you how a couple of devotees came and told Amma that I went to their house and I cooked for them. And Amma really got into that conversation. She wanted to find out what I cooked, what did I add into what are the ingredients I added, and she was trying to advise me how to use tamarind, etc. Right? I gave that example then. That is exactly the point here. Amma gets happy when she hears that you practice one of these virtues. Not that I'm great. I happen to, by chance, by mistake, happen to practice a virtue that impressed Amma. Amma is more happy when that is what Amma considers worship, when we act selflessly and practice these virtues or qualities. That kind of takes us to the fourth teaching, which is karmashu santyajyatam. I'm not elaborating on this because we did discuss this last week. Kamye matistyajyatam. Let go of desires when we perform action. So I would just leave it up to you to go back to what we discussed the last week in case you have taken notes or watched the video. Basically, the idea is any action that we perform, just let go of the desires, preconceived notions, expectations that we unnecessarily build. We definitely need to have desire or expectations, but those that are practical and necessary, the unnecessary ones, let us relinquish them. So, karmashu santyajyatam. As quickly as possible, just let go of the unnecessary tags that we add to our actions. Make sense? Okay, so we will end with the typical assignment or the activity. We need to reflect on all the 6 teachings that we discussed today and rate them. I got a couple of questions last week asking how to rate. There was some confusion. I just thought I'll just discuss one example. Someone emailed me their response. So let's take this example. We discussed the first teaching last week. The teaching was learn from the scriptures, right? The very first one. So the person rated it as 1. How much has it been part of your spiritual practice? Which basically means I have not used scriptures much, to very minimum that I have used scriptural inquiry as such in my spiritual pursuit. That's why the person gave 1. So there was a confusion. What is the difference between the first and the second one? The difference is this. The person gave it a 2. The second one, have I ever put in any effort in doing so? Though the person says it is 1 for scriptural inquiry, the person may have attended a few of these scriptural discussions or may have read some Bhagavad Gita verse here or there, probably just sporadically, not on a regular basis. That's why it is a 2. That is the difference. The first one is, has it been part of my spiritual pursuit? 2, have I consciously put in any effort, any time? If it is a little effort, it could be 2. Or probably I have heard a lot of classes but never reflected on them, it could be 4. Or it could be 5. Or you have listened to all the classes and really made it serious, it could be higher. And then the third one is how much we think it should be. So the person has given it an 8, which basically means the person considers scriptural inquiry, discussion is very important. I got one other response with the third column, all 10s. It was 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. I had mentioned, very well. You want to keep it 10? Very good. That's how it should be. But let us be practical. everything cannot be 10 because all of us have different mental composure, we have different mentality, different approach. So not everything is going to suit us. So let us be practical. What score we give the third row. So today we don't have to do it right away, but the 6 things that we are going to rate are: 1, garnering good company, seeking good company. Second one, making our devotion strong, right? Empowering our devotion towards divine strong. Third one, developing good qualities or virtues. Fourth one, to learn to act selflessly. The fifth one, to seek company of a realized master. And seventh one, be of service to the realized master, worship. So you can give the ratings, the 3 ratings. You would want to share it with me, feel free to email it to me. I'm just compiling them together. Maybe we'll put it all together. I'm just still trying to think how to present it to everyone. We'll definitely need to do it so that we could inspire each other. So with that, we will conclude. It's 14 minutes more than the usual time. I seek apologies for that, but sorry, I'm apologizing to you for that. I'm not seeking apology. I'm apologizing to you for that. So we will now conclude with the chanting or the singing of Sadhana Panchakam. Stay back with us. Om Amriteshwariyai Namah.
नित्यमधीयतां तदुदितं कर्मस्वनुष्ठीयतां तेनेशस्य विधीयताम् अपचित्ति काम्ये मतिस्त्यज्यताम् पापौघः परिभूयतां भवसुखे दोषोऽनुसन्धीयताम् आत्मेच्छा व्यवसीयतां निजगृहात् पूर्णं विनिर्गम्यताम् ब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयताम् परब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयताम् ब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयताम् परब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयताम् विचार्यता श्रुतिशिरः पक्षसमाश्रीयता दुस्तर्कात् सुविरम्यता श्रुतिमतस्तर्कोऽनुसन्धीयता ब्रह्मास्मीति विभाव्यता अहरः गर्वपरित्यज्यता देहेऽहं मतिरुच्यतां बुधजनैर्वादपरित्यज्यता ब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता परब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता ब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता परब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता क्षुद्व्याधिश्च चिकित्स्यता प्रतिदिनं भिक्षौषधं भुज्यता स्वदात्वन्नं न तु याच्यता विधिवशा प्राप्तेन सन्तुष्यता शीतोष्णादिविषयता न तु वृथा वाक्यं समारुच्यता औदासीन्यमभीप्स्यता जनकृता नैष्ठर्यमुत्सृज्यता ब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता परब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता ब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता परब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता एकान्ते सुखमास्यता परत्परे चेतस्समाधीयता पूर्णात्मा सुसमीक्ष्यता जगदिदं तद्बाधितं दृश्यता प्राक्कर्म प्रविलाप्यता क्षितिबलान् नाप्युत्तरैश्लेष्यता प्रारब्धं त्रिह भुज्यता मथ परब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता ब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता परब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता ब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता परब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता ब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता परब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता ब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता परब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयता लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ